one of the most exciting announcements for us is this next big step forward in hybrid computing. I'm really thrilled to announce Azure Arc. Azure Arc really marks the beginning of this new era of hybrid computing, where there is a control plane built for multi-cloud, multi-edge. And not only that, but we, for the first time, support managed data services to be anywhere your compute is. So again, managed data services that are multi-cloud, multi-edge. We also have 2 open source projects that allow you to build these cloud-native distributed applications. Both a new programming model that simplifies enterprise application development and a deployment model. And to show you all this, I wanted to throw it out to Aaron on the show floor. Take it away, Aaron.
Thank you, Satya. I'm excited to show you how we've fundamentally redefined hybrid, so you can bring Azure innovation to your data center virtually anywhere. Imagine I'm responsible for IT operations at Woodgrove Bag. Here's my IT dashboard. Now, I'm responsible for managing a heterogeneous environment with increasing system sprawl and data silos. And it's my responsibility to deliver the agility the business demands while ensuring the compliance and security of the entire estate. With Azure Arc, I can manage all of my resources seamlessly from the Azure portal, extending management capabilities, Azure management capabilities, to my data center. Now, through a few simple steps, I can connect my data center to Azure. We ran through the steps moments ago on this HP Superdome Flex here on stage, and momentarily, you'll see my Orlando data center show up as an Azure location. There it is. Now, with Azure Arc, I can extend Azure data services to my data center. My bank is rolling out a new risk management application. Let's see how Azure Arc fundamentally changes the game. So within the Azure Marketplace, you can see preview container instances of the Azure SQL DB and Azure Database for PostgreSQL. My risk management application runs on Azure SQL DB, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to choose to deploy it to that Orlando data center I just created, and click Create. Now, what we're deploying is the same evergreen version of SQL available only in Azure. Typically, deploying a DB into a VM on premises is a lengthy process that can take hours. But as you can see, in a matter of seconds, I was able to install Azure SQL DB to my data center. Even better, I now have access to all of Azure's unique security capabilities. So I can enable advanced data security, and that risk management database can take advantage of Azure capabilities like advanced threat detection and vulnerability assessment. And I can enable this by default with a policy. This is a first for on-premises customers. Let's see what else Azure Arc can do for me. My Chicago location, another Azure Arc location, is running a number of Azure Arc-enabled data services. Here I see an update reminder. Now, typically, updates and patching is a task that requires constant diligence. I know that Azure automates this for me, but what about Azure Arc? Well, with Azure Arc, I can automate updates in accordance with my bank's policy. So I can specify a custom maintenance window, or I can enable automatic patching and never have to worry about a single update. Back in my IT dashboard, I have another warning. This time, the PostgreSQL hyperscale database that's powering my mobile banking applications is reaching a CPU limit. Now, typically in this scenario, provisioning the servers and the databases to deal with this unexpected spike in demand is very time-consuming. But Azure Arc understands the capacity available in my data centers, enabling me to scale out on demand. And with PostgreSQL Hyperscale, I can add instances to power that application. I can even scale to over 3,000 nodes if needed. Back in my IT dashboard, I see that vCore count increased, the CPU limit is resolved, and I was able to scale out just as I do in Azure with no application downtime. Now let's take a look at how Azure Arc simplifies IT management and governance for my organization. Most of the workloads that are running in my Chicago data center are running in containers on Kubernetes. With Azure Arc, I can manage Kubernetes from within the Azure portal. Here are all my Kubernetes clusters that are across Azure Arc locations. Now, the security is top priority for the bank. And with Azure Arc, I can create a single policy that will encrypt the disks that are running on the databases on the clusters across on-premises and Azure. So I don't have to worry about the application, the database, where it's running, who's running it. I can rest easy knowing that my data is secure, all with a single policy. This is another first for on-premises customers. Now, as a global bank, I need to serve my customers 24/7 worldwide with minimal downtime. With geo-replication in Azure Arc, I can easily replicate from one on-premises location, Chicago, to another, or to an Azure data center, or even to AWS. This is a first, again, this time for the industry. So as you can see, Azure Arc unifies my operations, enabling consistency and agility across all of my data centers. Azure truly is the world's computer, and its innovation is available at my fingertips. And this is just one example of how Azure's innovation is empowering customers to achieve more across on-premises and multi-cloud at the infrastructure and data services layer.